Much of your, the latter part of your opening statement suggests that it seemed to suggest that there's an outright ban on this treatment, but that's not the case. It's really for minors. So why isn't this simply a case of age classification when it comes to these treatments as opposed to a ban, as you suggested in your opening statement?
It's certainly true, Justice Thomas, that the statute classifies based on age, but it packages that age classification with a sex restriction and says that for all adolescents, you cannot take these medications if they're inconsistent with your sex. So I acknowledge that the state so far has not banned this care for adults, although I think that the arguments it's making that this isn't a sex-based line in the first place would equally apply in that context. But the court has likewise made clear that when you classify on the basis of multiple characteristics, you can't avoid heightened scrutiny just because you have a non-protected characteristic that accompanies the protected one. And if you look at it from the standpoint of the plaintiffs who are actually affected by this law, the reason I'm calling it a categorical ban is because the state has left no out for those patients to obtain these medications when there's a showing of individualized medical need. And that is, I think, a stark departure from how the state ordinarily handles issues related to measuring risks and benefits, even in the pediatric context.
Well, is there no difference in if a girl takes testosterone or if a boy takes testosterone?
So the district court specifically considered this question in detail and found that with respect to the risks that the state had identified, it was not substantiated that there would be unique risks associated with the cross-sex use of the hormones.
Is there no physiological difference?
Certainly, I understand that there are biological differences between males and females, but when it came to the specific risk factors that the state was focused on, what the district court found is that many of those risk factors would exist regardless of the birth sex of who is taking those medications.
Well, I'm more interested in whether or not there is a difference in testosterone and its reaction in a male as opposed to in a female, and vice versa for estrogen.
So if you take hormones, they will prompt the development of secondary sex characteristics in whether you're a male or a female. If you take testosterone, you might develop a deeper voice register. You might have facial hair growth. And in fact, that's one of the intended effects of these treatments, because that can be critical to helping manage gender dysphoria that transgender adolescents would otherwise experience. But I think when it comes to the question of whether that creates unique risks, the district court found that for the most part, the state had not substantiated those risks, and that it leaves regulation of medication unrestricted, even in contexts where these same medications or others would pose a comparable set of risks.